in hell.
On extinction. Fewer children are being sent away. Is this a good thing, or could it be the end of a great...
Campaigning is underway in the Newbury by-election about a sharp drop in the number of children
As soon as we come back, Talking Point will be on that issue. Is it a welcome change that fewer children are going to boarding school, or is it the end of an era?
And then at 1 o'clock we'll have a summary of the news, so do stay with us.
We're back in a couple of minutes.
Lunchtime news.
And now to the Talking Point.
Today, lunchtime.
Next from ITN, a news summary at 3:10, and then the early evening news is at 5:40.
That's with Dermot Murnahan. But from Nick and me, until tomorrow, goodbye.
Bye-bye. To an interview with Lord Owen, the man who for months has dedicated himself to trying to achieve peace in Bosnia and who now sees his efforts in ruins.
Among the Western allies about what form of military action to take. Nevertheless, America's patience, at least, is fast running out. Libby Wiener, ITN, Brussels.
Downing Street has already insisted that diplomacy is still the way forward, Nadia, but it will only be valid if he ever returns from Turkish Cyprus. Mortgage advisors give misleading and inaccurate advice so they can cash in on hefty commissions. Well, they get a commission, they don't from the repayment one. Now, is the repayment one really that much better for the customer? Doubtful.
Then Talking Points devoted to Bosnia after the self-proclaimed Parliament of Bosnian Serbs defies world opinion by failing to accept the UN peace plan.
We'll discuss the issues with the man at the heart of the slender hopes for peace, Lord Owen, the co-author of the international peace proposals.
Does he personally regret becoming involved so deeply? And is there any hope left that the outside world can avoid becoming embroiled? After that, at 1, a summary of the main news. We're back in a couple of minutes.
At 5:40.
We start again at 12:30 tomorrow. Do join us then. Goodbye.
Council elections in England and Wales was equally devastating. Nations has warned the Bosnian Serbs of possible military action in the next few days if they ignore Security Council. Blown up by a terrorist bomb in Northern Ireland last night may lose his legs. He was in a car which exploded near a police station in Politics, politics, politics. The government feels the voters' anger. Could we see a cabinet reshuffle soon? How safe is Norman Lamont? What about those celebrating the Liberal Democrats? Can they capitalise on last night's victory? We'll join Nicholas Owen and me for that at 12:30. I'm back with the ITN headlines in an hour. But now it's time to return to Alison and This Morning.
Lunchtime news.
And these are today's headlines. Of the Conservatives overnight.
Serious trouble for Mr Major or a passing cloud of protest? And does it mean a fundamental reshaping of the cabinet and perhaps even of government policies?
Well, a couple of leading commentators join us to discuss it all. Then at 1 o'clock, a summary of the main news.
We're back in a couple of minutes. News coming in that 2 people are reported killed following a fire and explosion at a Littlewood store in the centre of Chesterfield, and it's said that more than 20 people have been injured. Where we'll attempt to get more details, and of course we'll bring them to you as soon as we do. Now it's time for today's Talking Point.
Lunchtime. There's a summary from ITN at 3:10, and then the early evening news at 5:40.
We're both back on Monday. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.
Be made to encourage them to eat healthily. That's our Talking Point. And their tour of duty in Bosnia today after 6 months of encountering the horrors of war and learning the big now. But when we're back, as well as a news summary at 1 o'clock, Talking Point is about children and junk food.
Are they eating too much of it because of all the television adverts?
A couple of minutes. TN with Tuesday's Lunchtime News.
And talking of lunchtime, we turn to our Talking Point and the subject of children and food.
Of the main news. It's been announced that the Education Secretary, John Patton, will make a statement in the Commons this afternoon and fined for his part in the Guinness scandal is to stay
Next news from ITN will be at 3:10. The early evening news will be at 5:40.
We'll return tomorrow at 12:30. A full moment from both of us.
Goodbye.
£160,000 damages against the Ministry of Defence after her husband died from excessive drinking. Dawn Barrett was awarded the money after a High Court judge criticised the authorities over drunkenness at a Navy base in northern Norway 5 years ago. Within the past hour, an all-party group of MPs has called for the prices of compact discs to be cut by at least £2. Their report says there's a royal bugging row, plus all the other news. But that's it from me for now. Bye-bye.
Bubble of excitement. I don't know if you can feel it there. There's a bank of cameras. The pool's winner are here. There's someone behind the screen. There's sound, there's music, there's a mega movie star, and there's money. What more could you want?
Put in the contract.
The main headlines today. The row over newspaper claims that MI5 bugged...
5 in eavesdropping at high...
Latest controversy over the invasion of royal privacy.
We'll hear from one royal commentator, James Whittaker, and the MP Rupert Allison, who's an expert on the intelligence services.
And after that, there's a summary of the news at 1 o'clock.
So stay with us, we're back in a couple of minutes.
The lunchtime news from ITN.
And now to the talking point.
Of the main news, which is, of course, dominated by those claims of royal bugging by MI5.
While we've been on the air, Iran has reacted to yesterday's meeting between...
Wednesday lunchtime.
Next from ITN is a summary of the news at 3:10, and then the early evening news at 5:40.
The lunchtime news is back tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Of licensing drug dealers to help cut down on crime. Would it work, and what...
Of those studies. Professor Russell, we heard that it's effective for some people, but the use a patch then. Any side effects briefly?
The patch is... thank you.
Take a short break now, but when we're back, Talking Point is on drugs and crime.
A senior police officer has asked the government to think the unthinkable, licensing drug dealers. Would that cut down on crime by drug users, or are the risks too great?
And after that, we'll have a summary of the main news at 1 o'clock. So stay with us. We're back in a couple of minutes.
And let's go straight on to today. ITN's back with a summary at 3:10, and then the early evening news at 5:40.
Bye-bye. We're back on Monday.
Women, become so... Sincerely, I never read any biographies. They leave in my little dressing room in the hope
Yes,
that
I've done the news.
Come
11 years I did the news, that's why I've stopped doing it.
Yeah, but even so, but before the news, did you...
I was at university before I did the news.
Was it as simple as that?
Yeah, really. Wow. I started to read news in the Middle East, and I carried on reading it in England.
I used
there we are.
No. Do you know, yesterday we were talking about Walter Sisulu and John Sununu?
You were.
Yes, I was. And somebody's written and said that they have offspring. 'Twas ever thus. They have offspring. And Walter Sisulu has... Oh, look what they've done. Look what they've done.
Oh.
Look what they've done. Tough. I'd have thought. At home, close your eyes about...